Good afternoon. How are you? Well, the sun is out, and Jefferson's report is that it's 68 degrees. Humidity's 38. The wind's 9 miles an hour. I can feel some wind, but not 9 miles. Anyhow, it's a nice day out. And there are a number of things happening that appear disconnected, but they all really are. And they're, I guess, the combination of deception and truth, science and magic or religion, bad intentions, good intentions, people who care and those who don't. So, if you have some curiosity and you've ever seen the Northern Lights as you approach the North Pole, if you're in Alaska, you've seen these beautiful ribbons of light. And they're caused by sunstorms on our sun, 93 million miles away. And the surprising thing is the last few days, people have seen the Northern Lights south of where I am in Virginia, and I'm approximately at the Potomac River. If I continue down this road I'm on, and someday when we all get together and walk down this road, you can see it for yourself. You go through a park and you're on the Potomac River. And it's low these days. Why? Because people are using the water for things, well, wasting it in part. And businesses are sucking it up in these data centers. And it's a price we're paying. And the people are being overrun by the local elected officials. But that's a whole other story. Anyhow. So how do we pay attention to phenomena and know what it means? Well, when the Northern Lights can be seen down in Middleburg, the southern part of this county, then it means that something's awry. And what it is a severe solar storm is making these lights visible further south. And you might say, well, we get to see a sound. We don't get to hear sound, but we get to see a light show. And there's truth to that, of course. But what it also means is that these waves may disrupt modern technology. And NOAA will be measuring that in the days ahead to see if it's true or not. Because this is a new phenomenon. And this is the problem these days, because we can't look back to forecast what's ahead of us, because we humans have changed the conditions of the earth so terribly, basically by the Industrial Revolution running forward, by the density of living, by all the humans and all the fossil fuel releases, the greenhouse gases that have made ourselves a part of a drama that you could call global warming. So that's in part how we get a storm like Milton, already considered an historic storm as it travels toward Florida. And it lands tonight in Florida. And right now they're thinking it could be 10 to 15 feet on the surges as it hits land. That's enormous. We don't know what the speed is. Is it 45 or is it 175 miles an hour? And the waters have risen, and the coastline can be level in places with the water in the oceans, or the Gulf of Mexico in this case. And the clouds, because of global warming, can hold on to so much more water. So when this is released, you have the havoc that we saw in part from Helene, and we're going to see more of it unless something changes dramatically when Milton makes land itself. Now, keep in mind that as one punch comes to us, it's upon another that's already been here, Helene. And when I was traveling north, Holly and I were traveling north, we could see where some of the mud had washed up. It was because part of our trip took us through Tennessee and through North Carolina. And we went off the road a couple of times to stop. And you could see the mud in the streets. You could see the broken trees. You could see the houses that were damaged. So these people are still suffering from Helene, and coming upon them is Milton. And I may put up a picture of some people trying to find survivors from Hurricane Helene. So this is pretty serious. Now, there are some Republicans who understand the severity of this. They're from Florida, and they don't have much truck with Congresswoman Green, who says that we can manage the weather. Why would we do that and manage it this way? And if we could do it, why couldn't they do it? But it's a fear strategy to scare people into thinking they're losing their homes because of storms somehow or other magically created. And magic is what we're talking about. Magically delusional is what we're talking about. And so they're telling Green that she should have her head examined. Well, actually what she should have is she should have her amoral ethics examined. She should have her criminal conduct examined. What are you doing when you tell people things like that in an environment that's already concerned about some violence? And there's a really sad observation you can make about this. The deniers of global warming have caused this. They've caused this, and they suffer themselves because of it. And one may say they get what they deserve. But we can't say that. We don't believe that. We don't feel that. But we are upset and outraged about those who know better, who suffer because of those who are ignorant of science, those who want to believe nonsense, and those who make others suffer, whether it be the pandemic, or it be global warming, or any number of other things. Now, Biden has always shown compassion. One of the reasons that I supported him before and now is because he shows that, and he showed that in this crisis. He cares. Now, ask yourself, have you ever seen Trump actually care on a one-on-one conversation with someone that you thought was genuine? I posted a picture earlier of the mayor of Asheville, North Carolina, seemingly upset, being comforted by Biden. That's a difference. Now, let's extend the question of knowledge of science, caring about all people, and caring about the saged, those who are getting old and need home health care. Well, she proposes for the millions of people in that category that Medicare be extended to cover it. Now, those of us who are baby boomers certainly appreciate that that's a possibility, and that's something that we would welcome. And others who are younger than us, who would not have it, where do they think they're going? Do they expect the rapture and eternal bliss in heaven is going to take care of this problem? It's not. This is a real problem with teeth, and it's going to pull people down, compromise their dignity, and cause their final days to be suffering when we have ways to avoid that. Other civilized nations, and I hesitate to say we're civilized right now if I were to take a photograph of where we are, but other civilized nations take this seriously. They believe in the wisdom body. They believe that those who are older may know something. They believe they made a contribution and can still do it. They may not compete in the Olympics, but their minds work. And because of a lifetime of using and experiencing the world, they have something to contribute. And so they're not a burden. They are our family. They are who we care about. They are who we help. So you have Biden caring, you have Kamala caring, and I spoke yesterday about Tim Walz. He's also a man who knows how government works, but cares to help others and so forth. So my wandering thought process as I walk today among trees turning color and leaves falling and birds talking, why can't life be more of that? Why does it have to be a daily pattern of recoiling from the news because we put up and allow to talk to us people like Trump in the most insulting and careless and hurtful ways? We don't have to put up with that. And what journalists think that any of that is newsworthy, except to compare it to being in a car passing an accident on a nearby highway? We have to stop this. And finally, I have one anecdote. I don't know if it mixes with this or not, but you know, we have to look at the difference between what is and what we say it is. So, for example, I read that there are rowers who are going to row in Boston, and they're doing something I wouldn't do. The Charles River has been dirty since I was a kid in school, and once a friend of mine who knew I could swim challenged me to swim from the Boston side across to where MIT was, MIT and Harvard and Cambridge. And so I said, sure. I said, but you know I can do that. He said, oh, I don't know. You know, it was late in the day or evening. So I took off my clothes and dove in the water. And it was like a colloidal mixture. I could feel over my whole body. And all I could think of after I took 2 strokes was turning around and getting out. And I told him, you win the bet. And he said he didn't know it was like that. And I'm not sure he did because we were friends. But it tells you that we have to ask questions as well along the way. We have to ask them of the government that is trained by the wealthy to only look at the bottom line, to look at what matters. And that's why electing people who care is important, because we want a conscience in the room when a good or a bad decision is made. And right now we're not getting that. And I'm not talking about the administration, Biden's administration. I'm talking about the Hill. I'm talking about Republicans. And some say this or that person may come back and assume a leadership position in the Republican Party. Well, if they're denouncing Trump, then good for them. They have the First Amendment right to do that. And if the Republican Party turns itself around, it'll be a competitor on the basis of a partner in support of a republic and a democracy that is what our nation promised to be, and needs to be for all of us. So I say goodbye to you from my walk on the trail in my cathedral of trees. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.